Hey, this is your boy Efren Tinoco again from North Memphis, telling you what you need to hear and what not what you want to hear. And this is pretty much, of course, in relation to the news about Afghanistan. hmm Okay. First of all, I want to admit to y'all something. I voted for George Bush in 2000 for two reasons. I voted for him ahead of Gore because of two reasons. And he sold me on compassionate conservatism, and I'm going to have a link in the video. But he said in the run up to that campaign, well, during that campaign, that the United States should not be so arrogant so as to think it could successfully um, export democracy and meddle in other nations' affairs and clone our values. So his mistake in prolonging the war after vanquishing the Taliban, actually, it's not, no, vanquishing Al Qaeda, okay? Vanquishing Al Qaeda in Afghanistan in 2001. After the, so he stayed in, I guess, to build a nation or something, right? Well, so I guess they distributed leaflets of Thomas Paine's pamphlet. They distributed the works of Rousseau and Locke about the political enlightenment. They had our soldiers doing little seminars in the history of U.S. democracy or something. Did we send 100,000 Peace Corps volunteers in order to teach people how to do democracy? Or did we have our soldiers guarding poppy fields and repressing the Taliban for 19 years and having military contractors go in there instead of Marines and guard our embassies and go shoot um, Afghan civilians in the butt and round them up and bring them over just to as randomly new residents of Guantanamo? When we make enemies for no good reason, we create terrorism. We're not, this is one is not a war against terrorism. This is a war for terrorism. We were terrorizing Afghanistan and creating more terrorists. The Afghan, when we bomb a neighborhood and we create orphans, okay, these boys whose fathers we kill, whose mothers we kill, whose little brothers we kill, little sisters we kill, okay, they don't have an army to join to fight us straight up. So they engage in asymmetrical retribution. They become terrorists. We create terrorists. This was not a war against terrorism, okay? And that's a prominent but a secondary consideration, because Julian Assange told us, because of documented evidence in 2011, that the purpose of the war was to wash taxpayer funds towards the military, politically connected military-industrial complex. Well, I could have told you that. And now we're worried about pulling out Afghan women who want to escape. What is this? Let me tell you all something. Ever since we successfully armed and supported the Mujahideen to resist against Soviet occupation in the 80s, okay? The Taliban took over to rule Afghanistan. Afghanistan is mostly Muslim country with about 14 language and ethnic groups with a common national identity due to historical colonial circumstances. All right. And none of which lends itself yet to Western style democracy. What are we going to do? There's about 18 million women in Afghanistan. I would imagine the majority of them would want to leave. Okay, let's say the majority. Is it our duty to pull out to rescue 18 million women? Or is that our, I guess we could focus on rescuing the, I don't know, 10,000 American nationals or so that are still left who want to escape? Yeah, we can do that, but we can know. So I don't know, man. This war proved that we can no more easily compel the Taliban to treat women with all the rights due to them according to international law. We can't do that we can't do that any easier than we can compel people in China to quit eating domesticable quadrupeds. We can't get them to stop. I mean, I know a lot of y'all are feminists. I do agree with 90% of what y'all say on that issue. And a lot of y'all are champions of pets. Your sentiments in that realm cannot affect affairs in China one iota at all. At all. And you can't bring the machinations of our government or our armed forces to bear on China in order to enforce your point of view in that matter, no matter how grotesque the treatment of animals is, of dogs and cats in particular, is in that part of the world. And, let's be frank. We have our own problems here stateside. We have people wanting to close the border, use COVID as an excuse to close the border. Ain't got nothing to do with that. The rise in cases of COVID in the United States has nothing to do with refugee traffic from Central America on the America's southern border. Not until when people get detained and refuse medical care, then we create that problem. That's not them, that's us. That's us doing that. Incredible. It's incredible. There are so many more problems to be fixed within the borders of the United States and its overseas dominions, like Puerto Rico and Samoa and the USVI. Okay, This is where right now we should be focusing, because the biggest problem we have right now that we've pulled out of Afghanistan especially, is protecting each other from the pandemic. We protect ourselves. The selfish act of salvation from this pandemic is to get vaccinated. I get vaccinated not so I don't come down with COVID, which is actually more likely, but I get vaccinated because it's going to make me, it's going to practically eliminate the possibility that I'm going to die of COVID, first of all. Secondly, it's going to greatly reduce the necessity that I get hospitalized, which is important because, you know, coming down with a bad case of COVID really sucks. In my case, as I'm a man, it's probably going to really affect sexual potency if I come down with a case of it. So guys should think about that instead of resist saying that you don't believe in getting a vaccination. Okay, your little wang is going to crumple up and dry off and break break off and fall to the ground, basically. If you let yourself come down with a case of COVID that necessitates you go to the hospital. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, and you wear a mask so that if you get exposed, in the likely case that you get exposed, and whether or not you have, and so if I am vaccinated and I get exposed to the disease, I can have enough of the disease in my sinuses, behind my nose, to transmit it to somebody else, even though I may not come down with symptoms, even though I may eventually fight it off because of the vaccine, coupled with my own immune system. My own immune system alone isn't going to do it, but my vaccination is going to provide me with my immune system with the foresight to fight it effectively. Now, that being said, I can still give it to somebody else if I've been exposed and I have a mass of it in my sinuses, in my mouth and in my sinuses. So, I mean, I used to go to school in Granwood Elementary when I was in 1st through 3rd grade because I lived around the corner from the school. So today we learned that a student teacher has died from COVID. Obviously from kids that attended school. This is why we mask. And this is why we get our vaccines. The vaccines work, ladies and gentlemen. This is not our opportunity to say close the border. Border ain't got nothing to do with it. Haitians and Guatemalans and Hondurans and El Salvadorans are not bringing COVID to the United States. We have plenty of it here. We have about 3 times our share of world population in total global deaths here in the United States, okay? This is why our hospitals, especially in the South, are struggling to accommodate all the patients. Specifically, the Alabama healthcare system is about to break. So when Ron DeSantis complains about problems at the border, the governor of Florida, he's really should be focused on his border with Alabama, because southern Alabama, southern Georgia, and northern Florida have really come down with massive, massive spikes in cases of COVID. That's the border he should be concerned about, not our border with Mexico. Well, he probably knows all this anyway, but that's not his political posture. His soul brother, Greg Abbott, out in Texas, has already come down with the case. And that idiot lieutenant governor in Texas is saying that Texas has so many cases not because of the fact that they opened up public events too early, or they didn't enforce or encourage masking or social distancing or encourage vaccinations. No, it's because of black people. He's blaming black people for the spike in cases. Black Texans. I wish this wasn't another opportunity for me to come down hard on the state of Texas. Anyhow, get your vaccinations, everybody. There's plenty for everybody here in the United States. We're giving them to other countries instead of letting them expire because we're not taking them in the United States. So get your vaxes and wear your mask out in public, okay? This is your boyfriend Tinoco wishing you to live a long, healthy, COVID-free life, free of further medical debt. I forgot to mention that. Medical debt, yeah. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.